welcome to NorthWoods Church Matters, a resource of NorthWoods Church in Evansville, Indiana, where we talk about what matters to the local church and why the local church matters. My name is Jim, and I'll be your host. In this episode of the Church Matters podcast, Pastors Bobby Pell and Bob Weeks sit down to chat about all things Easter, what Easter at NorthWoods will look like this year, and what members and regular attendees of NorthWoods can do this Easter season. So, without further ado, let's join them now.
Bob, it's good to be with you. This will be a lot of fun as we have an opportunity to talk about Easter.
Thank you, Bobby. Nothing more important and exciting in the Christian life than the Easter weekend.
So, we're going to hear more about this in the future, in future podcast about sort of hearing your background. Mm-hmm. But growing up, was Easter a big deal or a little deal?
Really little deal.
Okay. When you came to know Christ, did y'all develop any like Easter traditions?
Well, in my story with Christ, I didn't come to know Christ until I was 36.
Okay.
When we began going to church for the very first time after discovering Jesus, it was an incredible awareness of things that I'd missed earlier as I looked and watched families kind of rejoice at the resurrection and cry over the crucifixion were all new experiences for me. And so those early family traditions really wrapped up around the story of the Easter weekend.
And once again, I don't mind us getting into some of your story, but you got into the ministry pretty soon, not long after you came to know Jesus.
That's correct. I was 40, on my 40th birthday, I left for Southern Baptist Seminary.
Very good. Very good. Because to be honest, Easter is very different for pastors than what it is for churchgoers.
No doubt.
Okay. I remember last year we had 4 services, and when you get done with 4 services as a pastor, you may go home and there may be an Easter egg hunt, or there may be a great meal, or those type of things. But you are there, but you are not there. You are comatose.
That's correct. My wife has always joked that for pastors, they ought to have a mandatory week off after the Easter weekend.
And that's a great point. Like I've always told people, it's the week after Easter. Like for me, Easter is on April the 5th, Sunday, April 5th. So if you're listening and you're wondering when Easter is, it is on Sunday, April 5th. You may want to check your calendar. But for a pastor, for at least here at NorthWoods, it will be April the 12th is sort of how our rhythm will last. We'll still be dealing with Easter the Sunday following Easter because of follow-up.
That's correct.
And I know this is sort of your first year sort of joining us and being on staff, and we'll talk more about that as well coming really soon. But basically, for those of you who don't know, Bob is joining us as sort of the director of ministry here at NorthWoods, and you'll hear more about that really, really soon. But I'm grateful to be able to serve alongside Bob.
Amen.
So tell me about why is Easter important for us as Christians?
When you think of the whole purpose and reason of following Christ, it flows out of this whole weekend. The 2 events from Friday to Sunday, it's what makes it important. To be able to look and see what Jesus did on the cross for us, to think of that whole Friday event of being punished, brutalized, of him going through the crown of thorns, of all of that, to endure the cross, and yet to recognize he didn't have to do any of that. He could have stopped it at any moment. But because of his love for us, he continued. That's an incredible point of the Easter weekend for me. And then when you look historically then at Saturday and think of the grief in the morning and the people thinking, oh no, despair, it's over, this whole thing. And
Silent Saturday, we oftentimes have called it.
Yeah, and then Sunday's coming.
That's right.
And then the resurrection, which puts the exclamation point on Jesus' effort on behalf of us to say this is awesome in the resurrection.
Yeah, if you have the opportunity to check out the video, SM Lockridge's It's Friday, but Sunday's Coming. Ooh. That is a absolute wonderful video to check out. And we've used it here at NorthWoods years and years ago. as just sort of, to be honest, it's a hype video of just encouraging us to understand what Jesus has done for us through the cross. One of the verses that just means a ton to me, conversation Amy and I have had about when I die. Well, the joke about this is that my wife is determined I'll die first. But 1 Corinthians 15 says, "O grave, where is thy victory? O death, where is thy sting? The sting of death is sin. The power of sin is the law. But thanks be to God who gives us the victory through our Lord Jesus Christ."
Yeah.
So we're going to put on my tombstone, "O grave, where is thy victory? O death, where is thy sting?" That's not the end. And the reason why we're able to celebrate that is because of Easter weekend.
That's right. So Bobby, why is the Easter weekend important for NorthWoods?
So generally for churches, Easter weekend would be considered sort of our little Super Bowl. And the reason behind that is really twofold. You and I just addressed, why is Easter important for the Christian? Every Christian should take this moment, this Easter weekend, and clearly remember the cross, the crucifixion, the substitutionary death of Jesus, and his resurrection. And so there is a meaningful moment that we need to celebrate. However, we are in an unusual situation culturally, and that culturally, if you will invite someone to come to church, they are much more likely to say yes this weekend than any other weekend of the year. And so because of that, we believe as a church, we try to give tons of resources. Jim Miller, our communications person, has helped us develop cards for you to hand out. They've developed door hangers for you to put on subdivision doors and give them out so that we are able to push all through the community what is happening here Easter weekend. There have been tons of data that says one of the things that people will respond to is just a personal invitation.
That's correct.
I mean, just invite somebody. So let me walk through what's going to happen. On Good Friday, there is one service. And I'm emphasizing that because, Bob, you weren't here last year. So let me tell you, the history of NorthWoods is we have more than one service on Good Friday.
Okay.
The Good Friday service is extremely well attended between these two services. I hope everybody comes. I hope that, please come. Okay, we're going to remember the cross. We will, for believers who are there, you'll have the opportunity to take communion. I think it'll be a meaningful night as we look at the cross. I'm guessing the service will probably take like a normal Sunday morning service, between an hour to an hour and 15 minutes. It's at 6 o'clock on Friday evening, and it will be a very encouraging night that sets the tone for the rest of the weekend. I can tell you, I'm preaching on the benefits of the cross. My expectations are this is going to be a memorable, encouraging service. Here's the point of that: invite people. The second thing that will happen is we have Easter egg hunts. So the tone completely changes. Very somber to kids running around our property, going crazy looking for plastic eggs.
However, that Easter egg hunt is one of the greatest times to be able to invite non-believers to.
Exactly.
Because they could go to one somewhere else, but if you invite them, they'll come here, can rub shoulders with believers.
Yep.
Great opportunity.
Exactly. Well, and so sometimes people complain about that they're serial Easter egg hunters. He'll go from one Easter egg hunt to another. I don't complain about that at all. Just bring them on. It gives us an opportunity to meet these folks. And so one of the things that I would say is, like, if you're listening and you're like, well, how can I get involved? I've got the easiest way in the world for you to be involved. You don't even have to have a kid to be involved. You don't even have to like kids to be involved. Come to the church property during the Easter egg hunts, walk around and meet people and ask questions, get to know people, maybe even ask them, where are you going to go to church tomorrow? And when you hear, I don't know that I'm going to go to church, you have an opportunity here on site to invite them. You will even have permission to take them into the new sanctuary and show them where you're going to sit the next day and invite them to come sit with you.
Oh, that's a great idea.
So all of that's going to be happening. So this is a really cool, important moment. We're not doing an Easter egg hunt to give candy out. We're doing an Easter egg hunt to develop relationships and share the gospel.
That's right.
So this is sort of the big deal. Now, because of our facilities here, specifically parking, we can't have one Easter egg hunt. So we've got one at 11. I'm doing this on memory. I think it's A through M. And then it's at 12:30, it's N, last name's N through Z. And let me just say, if like you come at 11 and you're supposed to be here at 12:30, you will not be removed from the property. You can participate, and vice versa. So just recognize there are two opportunities for you to participate. And I think there's going to be some other fun stuff, some inflatables, and maybe a hot dog around. All of that's going on. There will probably be more people who are visitors at the Easter egg hunt than what there will be for the services.
That would make sense.
The Easter services, there are 3 this year. One is Saturday night, and the 2 are Sunday morning. The Saturday night service is at 6. Someone asked me last Sunday, are they the same? All 3 services are the same. So if you come on Saturday night, you don't need to come on Sunday morning. As a matter of fact, I say this kindly, you probably shouldn't. Our hope is that all of these services are full. The goal is not attendance. The goal is gospel saturation. No one has control of the response to the gospel, but we do have control of giving it. My desire is that everybody who comes will have an opportunity to respond to the gospel. That's sort of the big deal.
I love the idea of NorthWoods making a big deal out of big days.
Yeah.
And this is the biggest day of the Christian year. And for us to pour ourselves into that, every one of us from Friday through Sunday is vitally important because our community needs Jesus.
Yeah. Amen.
And this is such a great opportunity to just say, hey, come with me.
Yeah, that's right.
Just come with me. It's easy to do.
I guess one of the questions that Bob, I'd ask you to think through is, if you're a church member, what are some things that they can be doing to prepare themselves for this weekend?
Yeah, and Bobby, you know what my answer is going to be right off the bat. The first thing I'm going to say is we need to pray. And so that prayer is for those people that are going to be publicly presenting the gospel. So that would be for you, for Matt, for our worship team, and frankly, for all of those that would be in the welcoming teams, our connection teams, because frankly, somebody out in the parking lot isn't there to help you park your car. They'll help to prepare you to hear the gospel by making it easy without frustration to get in and out. And we're doing the best we can to make that happen.
That's right.
With a little bit of a limp, I would say, but that's the idea of it. So first thing is to pray, and then to seek God's face through that prayer of saying, God, who should I invite? When you think about it, God's already in advance of this. Anybody that you go and speak with, God is already there. And so where someone, just so it might happen, because it's already happened to me, inviting people to come for Easter, is that they're going to say, no, I'm not going to do that. That doesn't mean that they're not coming. It just means that was their initial response to you. Results are not what you have to do. Our kind of responsibility is just to offer, to make that desire known that you want them to come. So to do those pieces, I think are incredibly important for us as members of NorthWoods.
Part of that as well is one of the things we did in January was we identified these circles of, who are the circles of influence that you have in your life, your family, your friends, your coworkers, the people that you know just out in public, the people that you know through your hobbies, or what I've often called your third space, just all of these different areas. Who do you know that doesn't go to church? Invite them. Make sure that they have an invitation. Who do you know that doesn't know Jesus? Because this is going to be, look, the best thing for you to do is share the gospel. The next best thing is bring them to a place where the gospel will be shared.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay? So this is not relieving us from sharing the gospel, but it is, if you would, the next best piece. So let me give another piece of warning to the church. And if you've been a part of NorthWoods for long, this is going to be unsurprising. But in the bulletin on Easter Sunday services will be a spiritual survey card. The spiritual survey card will have an opportunity for you to respond to the sermon. Now, I'm going to do one thing differently this year, but I need our people to help with both. The one thing that I'm going to be doing different is I'm going to be, during the invitation, if you would, making a stronger plea that if you don't know Jesus, to come forward. In the past, to be honest, I have, to a great degree, leaned on the card. And my history says is that oftentimes people just don't respond on big days with an invitation to come forward to know Jesus. But what I'm about to say is going to call for potentially you to be gutsy. But if you brought somebody who doesn't know Jesus and they've heard the gospel, feel free to, during the invitation, to say, if you ever want to go forward, I'll go with you.
That's right.
Because sometimes that's just what's needed.
If I could just jump in, here I was, a 36-year-old man in church for maybe the third time in my entire life, heard the gospel presented, and my wife leaned to me in the invitation and said, if you want to go forward, I'll walk with you.
Yeah.
And it was life-changing.
Yes.
It gave me the strength and courage to do what honestly, there are probably still dents in the back of that pew where my arms were holding on tight. So, yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly in that.
Yeah, so some of this is just being sensitive to who you're inviting and being willing to say, I'll help. The other piece to this is you may be a Christian and you may have been a Christian for a long time. Fill out the card. And here's why. You're going to have unbelievers around you. And if you don't fill it out, they aren't either. So fill out the card.
You're just asking us to model what we're wanting unchurched people to do.
Exactly. And so just note that's where this also goes to why the next week is so crucial.
Mm-hmm.
Because if someone says, I don't know Jesus, but I want to, or I'm unsure if I know Jesus, let me be very clear. We're going to follow up on every one of them. We're going to follow up on every one of them. The only people we will not follow up on are those who say they're Christians or say they're not a Christian and they don't want to become one. Well, I'm just going to pray for them. Mm-hmm. But if you're in any of the other groups, we'll be on that like white on rice. And so just note that for your sake, if you're thinking about inviting, we will do follow-up. So those are some of the big pieces that I would say.
Well, and so how would you say that we as members of NorthWoods, what can we do to kind of help this weekend?
Yeah, I would say there are going to be opportunities to volunteer. We're going to need more greeters than we've had. We're going to need more help with Easter egg hunt type stuff. And you can get with Brianna Sturgeon. Brianna at NorthWoodsChurch.org is her email if you're looking to serve there. And you can contact Rachel at NorthWoodsChurch.org for helping with greeting if you're interested in helping in those ways, and she'll connect you with the right people. But I would just say, so our church has grown since we've been in the new building. When you come in for any of the services, look around you. Do you see anybody you don't know? You and I have talked about this, Bob. The church is growing to the place to where I have people out in the community tell me they're coming to our church and I don't know them. So if that's happening to me, every person who's listening needs to get past the idea of, but what if they tell me they've been here for 3 years? Then meet them. But it could be their first Sunday. And if it's their first Sunday, or if it's their second or their third Sunday, we just need to be nice to each other.
Yeah, there's a lot of assumption that goes into when you meet somebody that you don't know.
Yep.
And oftentimes it can be like, oh, I don't want them to respond to me like, oh, I've been coming here for 4 years.
Right.
And a really easy answer is, I'm sorry, I just haven't had the chance to meet you before. And
Exactly.
my name's Bob.
Exactly.
And another thing I've heard you say before, just be nice.
Yes.
Yes. If I'm expecting, and I think you are too, that we will have a lot of unchurched visitors. I've talked to several already in my short time in NorthWoods that have said, yeah, I'm thinking about coming, and I'm praying that they will. But they're not going to find me here probably.
Right.
They're going to find you.
Right.
They're going to find somebody else.
Right.
And so be nice to those people that I've invited, and I'll be nice to the ones you've invited.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks. I would just say when we do these really simple things, they have big effect. The last thing that I would say is, I'll give two and then let you give any final thoughts. Use the tools. Use the invitation cards. Use the door hangers.
How would you use the invitation cards, Bobby?
Well, I've got some in my car.
I do too.
And I have some in my pickleball bag. And so when I go play pickleball, I'll go to Third Shot Pickleball. And when I go to Third Shot Pickleball, I'll pull out my pickleball paddles and I'll pull out the cards. Literally, I will just put them on a table. But because people know me, they'll come by and I won't even have to give those away. They'll have to say, is this your church? It is my church. Can I have one? Yes, you can. And then I'll look for others that haven't asked, and I'll say, hey, are you going to church? I know they don't go to church. Can I invite you to Easter? Those cards will be gone the first time I'm at Third Shot. They're easy places for you and I to do that. You and I just need to make ourselves available. Jim and I have talked about that. One of my desires here is that there is a culture of invitation, that the congregation is known as inviters, because this congregation will grow not because of a new building.
No.
It'll happen because people bring people. So our desire is just to see that happening over and over again.
So the door hangers, that could be used with groups.
Yes.
Whatever group you might be a part of here at NorthWoods, that, hey, let's take next Saturday and run through this area and just put some door hangers. Knock on a door. Is there any way I can pray for you? No, it's okay. Here you go. You could do it at so many different kinds of ways to be able to just put out the news of what's going on. And the cool part about that is it doesn't seem like, from our perspective, that people want to hear this good news. It feels like that, no, nobody wants to hear this. They already have. And the truth is, they have not.
Yep.
And so what we do, I like to talk about it as links in the chain of the gospel. Just be a link in the chain.
Yep.
And you may not be the last link, but be the first or the middle or whatever. Just be willing to do those things. And door hangers are simple ways to be able to do that. Plus, it's a nice walk.
That's right. That's right. Well, here's what's going to happen. This is sort of the dirty little secret that our staff doesn't know yet. And so they'll all figure it out as this gets released. But next week is the week of Easter. Whatever door hangers are left on Wednesday or Thursday, our staff will be taking them out into subdivision, because there will be 0 door hangers when this is left.
Oh, that's great. That's great. I like it.
Now, my desire is that we ain't got to walk one step, because the congregation this Sunday takes all the door hangers and puts them out in all of their neighborhoods where they live, because that's what's going to become the most effective.
Sure, that's right.
That's what's most effective. But next week, next Wednesday, next Thursday,
we're using up.
We're gonna, these door hangers are going to get out there.
That's
baby.
great. That's great. I like it.
So that's the plan. And the last thing I would say is sort of what you led with, which is, if you haven't started praying about Easter weekend, please pray. Yeah, please pray. I mean, the grand opening was great. The soft opening was great, but the real celebration that happens every Sunday is at its heart is in the crucifixion and the resurrection of Jesus, and the gospel will be shared at that time in a way and at a time that more people will come to that than any other thing.
Yeah.
Let's don't lose that.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. If I can interject one more thing. It is so easy after such a big push to Easter weekend to then let down that next week. And my encouragement is to every volunteer and to every member of NorthWoods is to make an effort to say, I am going to give the same effort on the week after Easter that I gave this week.
Good.
So if you invited somebody to Easter, invite them to the next week also. Show up, be nice, worship hard and well, and allow God to be glorified in what we do and what everybody else thinks of as, we already did all that stuff. Let's just relax. I think God honors those that don't look at it that way.
So, Bob, was this your first podcast?
My absolute first podcast.
Bob, you did okay.
Well, thank you, Bobby. I appreciate that.
So at the time of recording, we weren't sure what parking would look like. So Bobby and Bob really didn't discuss that. But it does look like we will have a partial gravel lot for overflow parking, and also those that are serving at one of the services or during both. If the ground is dry and you're able-bodied, we recommend maybe parking in the grass. We're really looking forward to seeing you and your friends and family this Easter season. Hey, thanks for listening. You can learn more about NorthWoods Church at northwoodschurch.org or on Facebook and Instagram at NorthWoods Church EVB. Until next time, may the Lord bless you, keep you, and make His face shine upon you.